Final hour overdrive continues. Powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Doug, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan, Bobby Marks on why the Raptors are winning all of a sudden. A little bit later in the hour, you see Bronny James back with the Lakers. He actually played some pretty big minutes last night, and it didn't go very well for Bronny.
Dude, Stephen A. Smith absolutely torched him. Like
Yes,
he was pleading with LeBron, saying, "Stop doing this."
Yeah, it's ugly, man. What's weird is J.J. Redick has to talk on it all the time, and like if the 10th guy off the bench of a team that's mediocre, the coach is never asked about that guy. He doesn't care about the guy's feelings,
No.
and it's awkward because Redick's got to think of LeBron like behind him on his shoulder, like don't say anything.
That's what happens when you let a guy haze. It's one thing, and hockey is a different world. There's still an old school element, but like some great players never became the coach and the GM at the same time. Like they were still the player. Like their magic happened on the ice or on the base. Like when you allow something to happen, that's what you allow. So you drafted the kid, and now he's got to play for you, and it's signs pointing that this is going to be LeBron's last year, don't you think? Like, why else would he be doing this?
That's a legitimate question, and the Lakers are a playoff team right now. They've been pretty good. You know, I don't
like
think
if he was
going to
play next year, it would be like next year I'm going to get Bronny in there, and it's going to be my. So I think this all points to LeBron saying this is it for me.
It could be.
Yeah. Well,
But still, that doesn't explain why Bronny would play in a game like last night. You know, like at Philly was on national TV. He flew in, I believe, the day before. He's been down in the G League, and by all accounts, doing pretty well down there. Like putting up okay numbers and playing, and you know, no one's paying attention for the most part. LeBron had his opening night. They both came in at the same time. They played their 2 minutes together. You know, it was one of the really more manufactured moments in sports history. That opening night, it was crazy when you think about it. They both came in. Bronny threw up a couple bricks and left the game. But why he's playing real minutes, you know, middle of the season, that is beyond me. Because he can't shoot. You know, he picked up a few rebounds, I think, last night. Right place, right time. He doesn't. He doesn't shoot.
Did he put up a
zero
zero
points last night. Yeah, he was 0 for 5 or whatever from the field, I think.
I thought you said he played significant minutes.
Yes, I want to say he played 15 minutes last night.
And got 0 points.
That's what I'm telling you. Yes, Bronny James was not a force last night. So Bobby Marks will join us on that. The Jimmy Butler story, where that's going. There's a lot going on. We're getting close to the NBA trade deadline as well. So Bobby will join us to set that up as well.
Did I see a stat where Embiid has played as many games that he's missed? Like something crazy like that?
Yeah, I think he's played
like 497
games or something, and he's missed 400.
Yeah.
It's almost 50-50 on whether or not he plays.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like
yeah, it is. Like when you think about it, that's a substantial amount of games. Like he could have played over 800 games in the NBA by now. The guy's played just over 400.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a good career, but that's a guy that's in the league for like 7 years off the bench. And
I told both you guys, like, I come from a loving family, but if I never played like that, my dad, my brother, my 2 brothers, they wouldn't pick up the phone when I called home.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like
they would be just like,
well,
we're not talking to this guy.
This is it's such a big money business. I understand it. I understand that it's a different, scenario. You never challenge anybody on their injuries, but it's egregious. Like that's
extreme.
Terrible.
Yeah,
it is.
I'll give you, 1 or 2, or he didn't play through that. This is all the time. And there was video of the guy doing handstands in practice the other day when they had already announced that he wasn't going to be playing in the forthcoming games. So it's almost like he's just throwing it into the face of the Sixers, and they're not even in the play-in right now. Forget the playoffs. They're fighting for their lives, and Embiid's not available to them. So Bobby Marks coming up in 25 minutes. Brandon Saad, bought out by the St. Louis Blues today, 2-time Cup winner. He had 26 goals a year ago. What kind of market could be there for him? To chat about it, we're joined now by our TSN hockey insider, Darren Dreger. Dregs, how many teams do you think would be offering a spot to Brandon Saad, and do you think one of those teams could be the Maple Leafs?
I do think one of those teams could be the Maple Leafs, and it's pretty obvious why, right? Because you've got the history with Craig Berube, and the belief from hockey people that have watched him much closer this year than I have, that he can skate and he can provide a level of secondary scoring, and he can flat out play. The follow-up then is, well, why isn't it working in St. Louis? He's just past the midway point here of the season, on a season that's paying him $4.5 million this year and next year. He has a no-trade clause, but my understanding is there wasn't a whole lot of trade interest. But free, you just got to find a way to navigate and negotiate a contract. I think that there will be a number of teams that'll be interested in him because of everything that I've said from a hockey perspective. And sometimes, guys, you know this, change for the sake of change can be good, but talk about a ballsy, gutty move by Brandon Saad, right? Talk about betting on yourself here. To mutually agree to have your contract terminated, Bob Goodenow would lose his mind over this one back in the day. What are you doing here? Because, frankly, there's no guarantee that he's going to recoup that money. But if he lands up on the right team, chances are it's going to be the short term, right? It'll be a contract till the end of the year. But if you land on the right team and that team goes deep into the playoffs, you're a part of it, maybe you're really fortunate you win a Stanley Cup, well, then he's going to rewrite that ticket if he contributes as an unrestricted free agent in the summer. I guess, guys, just to follow up on a thought from a Maple Leafs standpoint, as much as I think that Berube definitely has interest in Brandon Saad, doesn't it get more complicated for Brad Treliving? Because, sure, he could help. They have roster spots because of injury, but they really need a center, and they'd like to maybe do something to that blue line if they can. So financially and otherwise, it does get more complicated if the Maple Leafs do decide to take a run at him.
So you mentioned a lot of other teams. Like, would he be? It's funny, you take a chance on yourself, and then all of a sudden there's these teams that potentially, if you can do a deep run, would be interested. I mean, are there any other Canadian teams that would be sniffing around?
Yeah.
Would Edmonton be one of them?
I think so. I don't know what you guys think of him defensively or on the penalty kill, but I know that that's what the Oilers are really looking for. It's going to be interesting, again, to see what Stan Bowman and the Oilers do. They don't really have a preference. A center would help them in Edmonton. It would give them more versatility, but they really need a forward who's a bit heavier and can defend and can help them on the penalty kill. And then on top of that, you're looking at the near debut here of John Klingberg, and so there's a lot of hope going on in Edmonton, but for sure I think the Oilers would have to consider it. And then you look at some of the other clubs in the West. What about Dallas? They've got cap space with the Tyler Seguin situation. You've got the Vegas Golden Knights. They've got some room, and they've got opportunity because of injury. I think teams are going to be careful because of what he said earlier. It's not like Doug Armstrong just decided, okay, well, this guy isn't, he's not a fit here anymore. I'm just going to, try and convince him to mutually terminate. No, he would have had conversations trade-related with clubs around the National Hockey League. And again, to repeat myself, it didn't seem like there was much interest there. But free is free. If you're not having to give up an asset and it's simply a roster spot and some money, and that'll attract a lot of teams, I would think.
Absolutely. With Darren Dreger, a TSN Hockey Insider. So I guess with Bill Guerin in town, he's the GM of the U.S. for the Four Nations. He and Auston Matthews, Brad Treliving had a little kumbaya this morning, and saw Pierre LeBrun tweeting out. Sounds like full go ahead here with Auston at the Four Nations. Is he risking anything with this decision? What do you make of it?
No, I think if there was any element of risk, every player that plays in this thing is risking something, right? And that's why most of the owners hate it. The general managers don't like it, and a lot of the coaches don't like it, right? Especially if you're a contending team sending your superstar star player, and that player ends up getting hurt. That can happen in anything, anyway, in the walk of life. There's risk that's applied to this. But, if Matthews wasn't feeling as close to 100% as he needs to be a real strong contributor, a leader in the late second half of the season and through the playoffs, then I think that he'd take ownership and responsibility and just say, no, I'm not doing it. It's just too risky. And he's not doing that. And Billy Guerin, has done a real nice job of staying in constant communication with the Matthews camp, and likewise with Brad Treliving. So I think the meeting this morning, not to belittle it because it happened and it's newsworthy for sure, had more to do with just Minnesota being around and an opportunity to have the face-to-face discussion, see where everybody is at.
Darren, would you say by Saturday there might be a chance of full health in Edmonton? I know you tweeted about it this morning, I believe, but is that kind of the gist of where the Leafs are heading?
Yeah, it's starting to look that way for sure. And in fact, I had to circle back a little bit because early this morning it looked like Klingberg's debut would be against the Maple Leafs. And then I said, now information is trickling in. He could be good to go as early as tomorrow. But, yeah, we know Pacioretty's back in the mix, expected to play tonight. And they're sure hopeful. They believe that Matthew Knies is going to be good to go on the weekend in Edmonton as well. So that'll be a big boost because, there are a lot of stories around lack of offense with the Maple Leafs, and I get it. I mean, it's real. I can appreciate whatever level of concern there is, but the game is different with Berube on the bench when you take two big bodies up front out of the mix in Matthew Knies and then, of course, Pacioretty. So we'll see if Pacioretty can have some impact tonight. They feel somewhat limited up front. Again, if they're not driven by Marner and Nylander and Matthews, then they feel a little bit limited and much smaller when guys like that are out of the lineup.
Dregs, where do the Leafs and Brad Treliving and Craig Berube stand on the play of Morgan Rielly this year and what they need from him or think they'll get from him the rest of the way?
Yeah, well, I think that they would be concerned for sure. Berube initially kind of took responsibility for some of the sagging play, just acknowledging that, he asked Morgan to play somewhat of a different style, right? And we've talked about this on the panel before. Be a guy that's hard to play against, defend harder, take some of the risk out of his game. He doesn't always have to have the green light, but it's almost like he's tried to flip too far the other way and seems to be lost somewhere in the middle. So there's constant communication, I know that, between Berube and, the coaching staff of the Leafs and Morgan Rielly, and he's trying to work through it. But would there be concern? Should there be concern? Sure, because he is a big part of the Maple Leafs' success and how far they can go moving forward. Because we talk about the idea of them bolstering the blue line. I mean, we're not talking about somebody that's going to fit in that stratosphere in the if that top four piece is available, then it's probably going to come at the cost of doing something significant in other areas because they don't have unlimited resources in terms of trade bait or obviously in money.
Are you talking about trades, Dregs? The Rantanen trade has certainly sent shockwaves throughout the league. Have you sensed increased chatter after that? Is this the first domino of potentially major moves throughout the league?
Well, it certainly rattled everybody, didn't it? I mean, we knew that Vancouver and Carolina were, if not closing in on something, they were in the heavy discussions of something that could be real impactful. And obviously that would have been Patterson going to the Carolina Hurricanes. But I don't think that Vancouver knew, or any of the teams that are in the mix, including maybe the New York Rangers in talking with Vancouver, Buffalo talking with Vancouver, that Mikko Rantanen was officially in play. So that's pretty shrewd work by Tom Dunn and Eric Tulsky. They deserve a ton of credit for that. Look, we're all focused still on Vancouver, right? I mean, Jimmy Rutherford came out, talked to me, talked to the Globe and Mail. So the messaging is pretty evident now from the top offices of the Vancouver Canucks that change is needed, whether it's Miller, Pettersson, or both. So that's probably more in the area that we're still looking. But we also are drawn to the idea of, okay, well, we keep hearing rumors around the Buffalo Sabres. Is Kevin Adams going to step up to the plate? And what does that look like? So it's still relatively early. I'm not counting on anything big happening, but I said that maybe a week or so ago and got burned pretty hard on that Rantanen deal.
Mm-hmm. With Darren Dreger. So it was a pretty wild game, Vegas last night. Vegas and Dallas. Dallas ends up winning in overtime.
Yeah.
But the Miro Heiskanen, Mark Stone play, was a weird one. And I don't know if everyone would have seen it or not. Hopefully, Joe from the Bridge, if we have it, we can roll it on TSN
Or
too.
it fell into his leg.
Well, Rupe Hintz trips him. He puts a stick there.
It looked like a trip and lunge, though, to me. Like, he does trip him, but then why is he diving at his leg like that?
Yeah, he never dive in the neutral zone. That was a weird play.
It was, and Heiskanen's hurt, and Dallas is bent out of shape.
Hang on, Dregs. Before you answer this, Hayes, I want you to come clean on what you – because I know you think there's something more to this. What do you really think of that play?
I thought it was a very peculiar play. I mean, it looked like a football play. Like, he got tripped, and Hintz has to be a hero immediately and go up, hey, what are you doing? Hintz, I don't know why Hintz was going at his leg there. I don't.
Right.
But it is a weird play for him to kind of dive at Heiskanen the way that he did. I don't know. I don't know how the league's supposed to handle that. And Pete DeBoer was pissed off after the game. He loves Mark Stone, knew him from Vegas.
Yeah.
He's like, why wasn't that a 5-minute penalty? He dove at his leg and took him out of the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Department of Player Safety doesn't look at it through the lens of Pete DeBoer, obviously, right?
Sure,
like they
of course.
do look at the sequence of events as you guys have illustrated here. And I mean, I had to watch it a few times, just to recognize, okay, well, first of all, what is Mark Stone doing there? And then when you watch it in the longer version, you're right, you see that Rupe Hintz trips him up. And it does look like he's lunging or at least sweeping with the stick to the puck. But there's full weight contact on Miro Heiskanen's knee.
Yeah.
Full weight contact there. So could it be accidentally on purpose? I don't know. I don't know what Mark Stone is seeing there, but he was launched like a projectile off that trip and hit that defenseman full on. So, I don't think we're going to hear anything. It certainly, I didn't get the sense today for poking around that there was much coming from the Department of Player Safety, but I'm hedging my bet there a little bit. I feel like we'd have heard something by now.
Okay. And Heiskanen, that's a serious player for that team, man. Like, that's a serious player. And I would say, different players, different situations, but Kaiden Guhle last night lacerated quad. Yeah. He's had surgery, and he's out indefinitely, right? Like, that's going to be tough for the Habs,
garbage
man.
for them.
That's tough.
Yeah. Like, he did it himself, too, right? Like, they ran into the boards. Like, it was just an awkward play. But, you hope he's all right. But that seems like that's curtains for the season.
How long could he be out for? Yeah, exactly. Could he be done for the year or what?
Yeah, and automatically now we go over to the protection angle in the discussion and the argument, right? And I don't even know, without knowing specifically what the cut looks like, where exactly it is in the quad, whether or not there'd be any layer, level of protection, any of the cut-resistant stuff that's available, all of that. But I know that safety department, which is aligned with hockey operations, every time there's a laceration, and I'm not being critical. They stay on these things, be it in the NHL, junior hockey, the women's league, in college, you name it, they investigate it, and they just build a stronger case for, just advocating that the Players Association and the National Hockey League do more to promote the fact that there is protection available. So this could jump into that territory.
Yeah. Well, individual players can wear whatever they want too, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you need the league to mandate that. And you already see it with certain guys with the turtlenecks and
for sure, more and more.
But those socks and like there are like protective that don't get cut. Like they wear them, the sleeves now and the socks, and like to me you should almost have a bodysuit like that at critical areas on your body, like a one piece that is made of that. I can't remember. It's not Kevlar material, isn't it? Is it, Dregs? I can't remember the name of it.
It is Kevlar, but I don't know if the new stuff, like now it's almost like there's Kevlar threads that are sewn and woven through the fabric. And hey, you know what? Get Carlo on line one, because I see on Instagram.
He's got everything figured out.
So he'll know what's going on.
He'll throw in some beef jerky too. He's got it all. Carlo's got everything.
One-stop convenience store.
He's a Walmart. He is.
Carlo's got a beef jerky hookup.
Oh yeah.
just
Hayes, maybe he can drop you a box off at the gym that you work out.
I am working hard. That's my concern.
Dude, you just got to tell me, be honest, and it's not a slight because there's different options, and I don't know if this guy was a serious tweeter, but some guy sent me a tweet and said, I saw Hayes at the massage station and he fell asleep. Is there a massage station?
Yes, Planet Fitness. They have a beautiful station. It's
like at the mall, those chairs.
No, it's not. There's not a masseuse like on call.
No, it's like at the mall with the chairs in the middle.
No. They have the massage chairs though. You sit in there and they radiate like all up and down. Absolutely, they have that. Yes, they've
it's
got.
Not like a back street in Montreal or anything like that.
No. It's all on the up and up. That's probably accurate. I might have fallen asleep. I probably was grinding, putting in a tough workout.
That's all that matters.
And I probably had the headphones on. I'd probably shut the mill down for half an hour. Whoever that is, tell him to say hi next time.
I will.
I don't need people creeping around when I'm at Planet Fitness, but I'm in there doing my thing, and I'm working on the body.
I've had a couple of Whitby pals who may or may not work out there.
Yeah.
And I mentioned they've spotted you a few times.
I'm in there.
Lots of looking at the phone, lots of scrolling.
There is a lot of that. There is a lot of phone action, which I know, and that's what's awkward is I kind of sense I'm like people are looking at me. They're like, this guy hasn't done anything in a while. Like it's a lot of downtime here. That's why I love that massage chair, man. They got the hydraulics back there.
Come on, man.
I haven't even heard of a massage chair at a gym.
Yeah,
just sitting there.
Oh, it's brilliant. I got to hook you up, Noodles. I will hook you up.
A tanning bed. Is there a tanning bed there?
There is actually a tanning station. Yeah, I'm gonna have a tint going for deadline. For the train deadline, I'm gonna be decked out.
You look like the guy behind the Leafs bench there. I can't remember that guy.
Yeah.
He owns that restaurant. The guy behind the Leafs bench is always
What is it, Octagon or something like that he owns? Or I don't know what he owns.
Just a handsome guy all tanned
looks
up.
like $1 million.
Exactly.
I appreciate that. All right, Dregs, we'll leave it there. Thank you for doing this.
That's a tough place to leave it.
Yeah.
Have a good one, guys.
We'll do our best. Darren Dreger, our TSN Hockey Insider. Yeah, it's embarrassing falling asleep in public, but I've probably done that.
Yeah, that's
very
tough.
comfortable. I'm telling you, man, they got everything there. I'll
Where's
hook you
this
up,
at?
Noodles.
Planet Fitness?
Planet Fitness. Yep, the best thing going, man. You got to get the Black Card membership, though, to get in there.
Wow. Yeah.
Black Card? What is that? Is that like an Amex Black credit card?
That's right. That gets you into that special area where guys like me fall asleep.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you play basketball there, too?
No, it's in and out, man. I'm on a tough regiment. That's my concern about these, like, Kevlar suits. Is if you got one tailored to you and you put on 20 pounds, like trying to get in that thing is because that's how I operate. Like we get all these, now I got suits and we're doing TV and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, how do I go back to the tailor or whoever's, making these suits or putting in these requests and say, I put on 15 pounds, I need new suits. Yeah. Like you're going the opposite way. You're getting new suits that look great. Like what are you doing with the old suits that you had?
I went through a phase, multitude of different phases. I went through the phase first where I'm telling you guys, I picked up a suit jacket. I'll bring one in. I think there's one left. Like the monster.
I have my monster suit. I found it like 2 weeks ago, dude. Do you want to go monster for monster? When do you want to do this?
Dude, Monday I usually go
Friday.
in the studio. I honestly tried on a monster suit, and I was ignorant to how big this thing was. It looked like a giant Ronald McDonald costume suit. I was shocked myself. I'm like, I can't believe I was the guy that got fitted for this. Dude.
That's not off the rack, dude. That thing is tailored.
Dude, you know when you go to a kid's party and there's a guy dressed up in a giant, like, furry it would fit that guy. And I put it on, I'm like, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
I was shocked like a couple of years ago, Hayes. We were joking around in the studio, and you were like, let me try on your jacket and we'll trade. You put on my jacket, and it was like a carpet, like a living room-sized carpet on you. I was shocked.
I looked like a 6-year-old in your suit.
So anyway, I went from, can you take this in a little bit, and then I brought one in, and the lady said you can't take that much. The suit's gone.
Right.
The integrity
It's a
of the
great
suit.
feeling. It is a great
feeling.
feeling.
It's like there's so much that needs to come out of this. There's no suit left. It's wrecked. You can't do it.
Well, now you got the new suits. You got to hold on to those new suits because they look good. They can't go the opposite way, right?
Hey, my instruction was if there is any time, because I see my lady at the cleaner so many, like we're actually friends now because she's always like asking questions. She's like, what is all this stuff? Like, you're in here getting T-shirts fixed and this, and I said I'm on a fitness journey, and she kind of came along with the journey, and I told her one time if I ever say, can you loosen this, you tell me to get out and never come back.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll never make something bigger again ever.
That's positive because it is difficult to tailor bigger, right? Like bigger.
Yeah, because some people don't make the extra room. Like
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need to let it out, and if they don't have it, if they've maxed it out, that's it. It's done.
It.
So bring in one of those suits, Hayes. You should.
I got mine,
other...
man. I've got a pinstripe blimp that I'm gonna bring in.
Dude, mine is red and white checkered. It's Ronald McDonald.
All right, we gotta wear them for a show. We should put them on. And
dude, Monday we're having the Ronald McDonald special.
I'm traveling Monday. I'm gonna be remote on Monday. I need to be there.
I swear to God, Jugi, go to Party City and get me a giant red wig because I'll be Ronald McDonald. This thing is. I'll wear yellow gloves.
We should set up like a school coming through.
I'll grab them all, boys.
Yeah, attaboy, Doogie. There you go. We should have just stations for kids. Here's Ronald McDonald. And I'll come up with some character.
We'll go on a school tour.
Yeah.
Everyone, Ronald McDonald.
All right, happening. Yeah, we're bringing in the suits. All right, best bets still to come. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, best bets coming up later in the hour. A rare evening where the Leafs and Raptors are both playing. They're both favored, right? The Leafs have been favored a lot this year. They got Minnesota at home, but Raptors in action down in Washington. They're favored, and the Raptors all of a sudden have decided we're going to start winning some ball games here. We are going to try to figure this out and start winning some ball games, and they've won 4 in a row. They're not really in contention of making the play-in. They're still 5.5 games out of that. I don't see that as a reasonable possibility. Yet Brooklyn's caught them going the other way. You know, Charlotte's behind them. Washington's awful. It's like, what are we dealing with the rest of the way? Are you tanking? Are you aiming for a dignified tank? Are you trying to win ball games? It's complicated in terms of the heavy lifting they've already done this year and really where their whole program is moving forward. But
Hayes, there was a tweet today I saw a headline, DeAndre Fox from Sacramento. Mm-hmm. That's where he plays, Sacramento, right?
Yep.
It said preferred destination. I was like, maybe it's the Raps, but guess where it is?
San Antonio.
That's exactly
Yeah, he wants to play with Wemby, which is, speaks to Wemby and where the Spurs are at. But yeah, Raps have won 6 of 7. Here's Bobby Marks of ESPN. Bobby, you've been in this position before, working in front offices with teams that were tanking, or at least were not necessarily going to win a lot of ball games. It's sensitive, right? Like you can't tell the players and the coach like don't win. Yet I think if you're Masai and Bobby Webster, you're probably thinking, let's slow down here a little bit, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing you don't want to do is fool around with the lottery gods, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. As far as kind of deliberately not playing guys, or I think Brooklyn probably did it the right way, where they basically just traded guys back in December with Finney Smith and Schroeder, and that really weakened their roster here. I went through a season in Brooklyn. We were 12-17 and got the 3rd pick in the draft. So there's really no perfect formula. I mean, look at Detroit, who's been the worst team the last 3 or 4 years and have picked 5th consistently here. I do think, and similar to what Portland is going through, Portland's playing really good basketball too. Is like eventually, like you have to have some foundation as far as what to build off of, and whether it be with Scotty or Quickly or Grady Dick or some of your younger players, like it's kind of a building block for next year. No, they're not gonna be in the play-in. If the Raptors fans want Cooper Flagg at number one, probably. I think a lot of people would. But I think sometimes you just have to. Sometimes it just has to happen organically, and just kind of see where things go here.
Where's your projection on that kid, Bobby? Do you think that he's worth tanking for? Like, that's an organizational game changer?
I saw him last year down here in Florida when he was a 16-year-old at Mount Verde, and I would have probably taken him if I had a top 5 pick then.
Cool.
I thought he was really. No, that Mount Verde team was loaded. I mean, there's going to be like 5 of those guys going in the first round this year. I think he's his offense is kind of what everyone's kind of talking about. Defensively, he is high level. Really kind of plays with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's long. He's athletic. I think he's got a chance to be really good. I think Dylan Harper, who's at Rutgers, got a chance to be really good. I mean, the shame with Rutgers is that we're not going to see them once we get to past February, because they might not even make their conference tournament. They're not going to make the NCAA tournament at all. So if you want to watch Dylan Harper in Big Ten games, you've got basically kind of a month window to do it. But yeah, I think what you get in the draft, I think that's, as I said, kind of another piece to kind of what you're trying to do.
Well, you look at where Scotty Barnes is, and he had a very inconsistent, kind of injury-riddled, first half of the season, and he's been phenomenal recently, and he was the Eastern Conference Player of the Week last week, and again, they've won 6 of 7, and he's doing it on both sides of the floor. He's defending a lot better recently, and I'm curious how you think the Raptors should approach what is best for Scotty. Like, he's in year 4. It's not like he's some grizzled vet who's been here for 10 years and is sick of losing. Yeah, they've committed to him. They've given him the money. I'm sure he wants to expedite this process as quickly as possible. If you're given the option, like if you're thinking of Scotty Barnes, is it better to do whatever you can to find like a true number 2 with him? Because I don't think Barrett's that. I don't think Quickly's that. Like a true number 2 could be close to his level. That's a veteran in the league that you'd have to go out and acquire somehow. Or get the next wave of kids like a Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
Like what would be better for the development of Scotty Barnes, and what do you think is best for his future as a Raptor?
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, it's getting the kid in the draft, and then you have him for probably at least 8 or 9 years based on both contracts, and you've got control over that player. The impatient way would be to go out and basically call Sacramento and say, I know you've got, I'm just hypothetically, I know you got Quickly, say like, we'll basically give you what you want. I mean, I went through that in New Jersey when we traded for Darren Williams, and he had a year and a half left on his contract, but it put so much pressure on the organization, because then you're trying to win, you're kind of trying to add pieces, or are you going to lose them in free agency? There's a lot of different kind of things that come with it. I would say the good thing, certainly if you're a Raptors fan, I think look what Houston's been able to do. I mean, that thing has turned around awfully quick post-Harden. I know it took a couple years. Look at Detroit. I mean, what Detroit's been able to do, they added some shooting. Cade's healthy. They added some shooting around them. They've drafted pretty well, and now they're a team that's, in the thick of it. And competing for a play-in spot is not the end of the world here. I think it's the end of the world if you basically have maxed out on your roster and there's no upside left there. But when you are a young team, I think there are ways for you to grow, similar to how Oklahoma City has gone through the process the last couple of years.
With Bobby Marks. So Jimmy Butler's been suspended indefinitely down in Miami.
It's a crazy scene.
It's a wild story.
Guy.
Especially when you consider who he is. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. And again, it feels like deja vu. Jimmy's, run out his welcome in different areas of the league or different teams within the league. But he's a great player. He's not young, though. Pat Riley's involved. It's just an incredible story. Surely, it feels like they're going to move off him. And I saw Windhorst reporting earlier this week that the Heat, they've lowered their price. They're pretty committed to moving on him. Where do you see Butler going, and how much value can he still have to a playoff team?
Yeah, listen, I think, do I see him going to Phoenix? I mean, have they lowered it that low where they're willing to take Bradley Beal back? I don't believe so. Even if there were some draft picks. I think certainly the team that kind of circles is Golden State. I think they're kind of a team to watch just because they're a game out of the play-in. They've got Curry. They've got Draymond. I think there's a little bit of a sense of urgency to try to keep this Curry window open. And if it doesn't cost you Jonathan Kuminga or Brandon Podziemski, two of their younger players, I think it's worth exploring. Now, the big question is, like, all right, is he content there? Will he resign there? How much do you have to pay him? This is his last. This would be his last big contract, so you're probably going to get him on his best behavior. With that, does it get them closer to where some of these top teams in the Western Conference are? Probably not. But I think that's kind of one of the few options that Miami is staring down. I mean, in a perfect world, I would love to tell Jimmy Butler to go home and we'll revisit this in if I was the Heat in July, and we'll look at trade options here. But we don't live in a perfect world. If we lived in a perfect world, Butler would have been playing, trying to maximize his value on the court and playing for that next contract, and we just haven't had that.
So we mentioned De'Aaron Fox and the idea that he could be moving on from Sacramento, and the idea that his priority or his top spot that he'd like to get to is San Antonio, who are 20 and 23. They're not in the play-in. They're not particularly close. Like, obviously this is a Wembanyama scenario, but are you at all surprised that it's happening this quickly in year 2 of his career, where, again, the Spurs have taken a big step this year, but not like a massive step. They're not overly competitive. Are you surprised that Fox is eyeing San Antonio, and do you think it's a smart play because he wants to get there before someone else does?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. As far as like, if it's not him, it's probably going to be somebody else. I thought it was probably more. I thought we'd get through the season in San Antonio, figure out who they are with the pieces around Victor, and then kind of address what they need. And I think certainly that could still happen there. I think I haven't seen, one of these situations. Certainly it dealt with Carmelo Anthony back in the day, as far as guy in a trade block, wanting to go to a certain team, could be a free agent a year from now, basically saying, he hasn't said this, but, there's a high risk of trading for him because you're not sure if he's going to re-sign with you. And then if you're San Antonio, you're like, well, wait a minute, why are we giving up the farm where maybe we can just get him in free agency, but you got to wait till 2026. It's going to be interesting to watch. I would say that probably more unlikely he gets traded, because I think for the Kings, the offseason gives you so many options, whether it be who's picking in the lottery. There's going to be 2 teams that lose in the playoffs who think they're better than they are and are thinking they're a De'Aaron Fox away from competing for maybe a championship here, and it could probably bring more value back than over the next week here.
Bobby, where are you at with Bronny James? And
gotta ask.
There's the question. Where are you at?
I saw him play. I saw him play in the G League showcase back in Orlando. Like I said, at the end of December, I thought that was probably the right setting for him. Playing at that level. It's an uphill battle. Basically half a year in college. He's an undersized, 2-guard. He's trying to play point. It's kind of like a mass experiment. If he's going to play minutes or rotational minutes like last night, he's going to get exposed, and he's going to get exposed bad. I mean, that's the reality of it here. So,
what happens to him when his old man goes away? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean that's the $1 million question. Whenever that is, if it's a year from now or 2 years from now, I think what will happen is that there'll be another 60 players drafted in June, and then there'll be another 60 the other year, and eventually you don't have a job anymore, right? Like, I mean, that's the reality of it here in this league here. You just basically get it goes in cycles here. So yeah, I mean, listen, second round pick, I get it, but what I see is not I don't think he's an NBA player. Will that change? I don't know, but I do think he's better served playing in the G League than being with the Lakers right now.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because JJ Redick's being asked about him, and he's trying to support him, and it's just awkward because how many coaches in the league would ever talk about a player of this stature? That comes up from the G League and plays minutes and doesn't play well. A, probably wouldn't be asked about it. B, if they were, I'd probably say it wasn't good enough, moving on.
Right.
But instead, you got to coddle him a little bit because of LeBron. It's just such a sensitive topic around there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, listen, there's a lot of guys in the G League playing who probably deserve a roster spot. And there's probably a lot of guys on 2-way contracts who should see some type of rotational minutes. And I think that's the hard part with the Lakers. There's a lot of there's a lot of players on that roster. When you have an Anthony Davis type injury, you've got some roster spots for guys that probably are more, G League level guys.
Bobby, it's always great catching up with you. Thank you for doing this.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Bobby Marks, ESPN, NBA front office insider.
Yeah.
The Bronny James story, man. We'll see where that goes.
Even he kind of
awkward.
started laughing. He's like,
I know.
I don't know.
Listen, the whole league knows about it.
It's embarrassing when the guy has no business being in the league. It's just. Well, I'm surprised Bronny himself didn't say, I'm going to sell Ferraris or something.
Well,
you know what I mean?
He doesn't have to do it. His dad's a billionaire.
I get it.
Generational wealth for
There's all kinds of cool things you can do with your dad's wealth, just to say.
Right.
You go to parties and stuff. You're the laughing stock. You're the guy in the NBA that has no business. It's like you're the owner's son.
It's complicated because I understand why. He loves to play, I'm sure, and wants to play.
I know, but everyone that plays loves to play at the park doesn't get to go put a Lakers jersey on.
Of course. And he's better than the guy at the park, clearly. But he should be in the G League at best or in college, and that's where he should be. And he should not be anywhere close to the NBA.
Yeah.
That's just very clear. He should not be playing in the NBA. Anything else, go play, do your thing, grow. Maybe you earn that spot down the road. But at some point, he may just roll into the LeBron James empire, right? Where guys, a billionaire, and once he retires, he's still going to be doing stuff forever, and I'm sure he'd be happy to employ Bronny to do whatever. I don't know what he's going to do, but
if Bronny's going to own that team in Vegas or whatever,
right? Exactly.
LeBron is LeBron's.
Bronny probably works for the team, right?
Exactly.
Stephen Jones. There you go. He'll be there with them, and now he's played in the league, and who knows what he does in the future.
Yeah.
All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel coming up. Leafs Wild tonight. We'll come back and tee that up one more time. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, today's Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Leafs, money line. Auston Matthews, anytime goal scorer. Auston Matthews, 4+ shots tonight. That's the parlay. Matthews shows up. Wild in town. Leafs have got to get this before they hit the road. Today's live same-game parlays are now available for every NHL game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly, 18+, physically located in Ontario. All right.
I saw something in our group chat.
Yeah, someone's been putting some pictures together. Look at these two animals.
That guy, first of all, the guy on the right, he's going for an Italian lunch.
Yes.
As I said, a 2-liter brio and 2 chicken parms on the right.
Side of penne with meat sauce on the side. And the guy on the left is just a tyrant that eats burgers at McDonald's.
And really creeps people out and bothers people.
Scares people.
He is so fat and miserable. Look at his face.
Get those off the screen, please.
Why? It goes in our group chat just as Bobby Marks is talking.
I know.
I can't look at that. It was tough.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. That's coming, though. We're bringing in the suits, and it's going to be live in action soon.
Yeah.
All right. Pebble Beach, elevated event. Let's do a 5-pack plus a Canadian. We got to knock the rust off here. We haven't done golf picks in a while. And here's another thing. Dewey's going to keep track. 10 points if you pick an outright winner. 5 points for a top 5. What do you want? 2 points for a top 10?
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Like that. So 10 for a win, 5 for a top 5, 2 for a top 10. Okay,
Yes.
so we can keep the point system, and let's see where it goes.
Go
I'll
ahead.
give you
I'll
first
give you
pick.
the.
No,
Okay,
you
I'll
go
take
ahead.
Scotty. I'll take Scheffler easily.
You're going to take Scheffler.
All day.
Gutless. Okay.
All right.
Why don't we just rotate if he's in the field? If you
I
want
know.
him first,
Basically,
next
first pick
week if
is-
we pick, you get him.
Like on FanDuel, the guy's a 4-1 odds. He
Yeah.
hasn't played all year. He's coming off a hand surgery.
Yeah.
I'm going to take McIlroy. It's his first tournament on tour this year. I don't think he's been at Pebble for a while, but I got to take him. I'll take McIlroy with my first pick.
Ball striking course, I'm going to take Colin Morikawa.
Guy hasn't won in a while, man.
Dude, I know.
He doesn't
I
win
know.
much.
I think he's motivated. I think
Okay.
he's.
I love that you left this guy for me. Ludwig Oberg You talk about ball striking. This guy is going to destroy this track. He was sick last week. That's what cost him Torrey Pines.
Yeah.
Ludwig with my second pick.
I am going to take, on a flyer, Jordan Spieth.
Ooh.
Jordan Spieth at Pebble. You
Yeah.
hate Jordan Spieth. I know you
He's
do.
won here before, but he's come
I
out
know,
with weird
but
surgery.
you're
and
all
he's
over him.
Funky, man. There's something about him that just, I don't know.
It's either like dead nut center of the fairway or he's in a guy's yard.
Yeah, exactly. There's no in between. I'm going to go big game hunting here. You know who I'm going to take? A guy who's won already this year that he's actually playing while he's rolling the rock. Well, I'll take Decky. I got to take Matsuyama. Hideki Matsuyama.
That's
my
a good
third
selection.
pick. Decky's a good pick. I'm going off the board with my next two.
Uh-oh.
I am going to take Patrick Cantley.
Okay.
I'm going to take Patrick Cantley.
All right. I'll take Bill Zalatoris.
That's a good pick for there.
Bill Zalatoris. Let me throw in my next pick because I know you're not going to take this guy. Max Gracerman.
No, you're not taking Gracerman.
Yes.
You got to take a Canadian.
Let's do 5 and then a Canadian. So I'll take Gracerman and then I'll take a Canadian. You take 2 quick.
Justin Thomas. I'm going to take 6 because I got to take my guy Keegan Bradley,
All
and
right.
I'm going to take Nick Taylor.
Okay. Oh, you got
All right.
Nick Taylor. He's won there before, too.
I'll
He
take
loves
Corey
Scrabble.
Connors if you want.
I'll take Nick. Okay.
Take him, and I'll take
Nick
Corey
Taylor.
Connors.
Done. You
There
got
you go.
Connors, I got Taylor. We have the same amount of game. I feel like we're short.
You got to take one guy.
You're
Sammy Burns is sitting there. Imsy.
Mr. Burns.
Bob McIntyre. Bob
Bobby Max.
McIntyre.
Dude, that guy wears the same shirt every round.
I love that. He loves that look, man. I'll take Bob McIntyre.
All right.
All right, picks are in. We're tracking, and I love it. I love that we're back into the swing of things here.
I love it too.
All right, good stuff. All right, thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
Tip of the cap and bring some extra lunch rolls to the pinstripe suit. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.